How to build an online profile that actually gets dates. Now, if you're like most guys, your online profile doesn't really get you anything. You swipe a bunch, but you don't get shit. And this was also me. About 5 years ago, I was getting about 3 matches a week on average and 0 dates. Then I changed how I approached online dating, and my new profile got me 22 matches a week and 2 to 3 dates from those matches. And these changes took me about 6 weeks to make. So ask yourself, is 6 weeks of work worth getting 2 to 3 dates a week? If the answer is yes, let's fucking get into it. So first, let's talk about why you don't get dates right now, bro. Because you are not alone. It has to do with the supply and demand of the actual apps. And first of all, there's just more guys on online dating apps than girls. On Bumble, 2/3 of the users are dudes. On Tinder, 3/4 of the users are dudes. If you just think about fucking supply and demand, that already sets you up to fail. Another thing, women are just more choosy than men. Women swipe right about 15% of the time, while men do it almost half of the time. And that also makes it more difficult to win as a man. And then lastly, the matches concentrate at the top. So because of this dynamic, this difference in supply and demand, women can shoot for more desirable men. And it's not that they're fucking malicious or like trying to screw us over. It's just fucking market economics. If you knew you had tons of options and you could shoot for the very best, why the fuck would you not? And so this is just a reality that we have to confront. And the dynamic on these platforms, because of the skew in supply and demand, is that most women are shooting for the top, group of profiles. And so one of these stats that's very alarming is that 50% of likes go to the top 15% of men. And you can imagine what that does to the bottom 50% of men, or even the bottom 85% of men, right? And this is probably what you're experiencing. You're a fine looking dude, right? You're not a model, but you're attractive, and yet you're not getting any success online, not even close to the success that you could get in person. Understand, bro, that this is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And if you want to win, we have to approach things differently, and we have to do what it takes to win. Now, you might be looking at this and be really discouraged. Like, fuck, man, if I have to get to the top 15%, how am I ever going to do that? But I look at this and see good news, bro. Because if all the hot women are going for these top 15% of men, then that means all we need to do is build a top 15% profile, and we get our pick of the hot women. And you might be thinking, but bro, I don't feel like a top 15% guy. That's okay, bro. Your profile is not you, bro. Just like an advertisement for Coca-Cola is not Coca-Cola itself, your online dating profile is literally just an advertisement for you. And then we need to treat it as such. So if we detach our ego, if we learn what works, and then we actually do it, that will leapfrog us above so many other guys who aren't doing the work because their ego is attached to their profile. They're afraid to fail. They're afraid to try, and they're afraid to be strategic. So you don't have to be a top 15% guy to make a top 15% profile. And this is where the opportunity lies, bro. If you're willing to be a little more persistent, a little braver, a little more strategic than the average dude, you can get the cute girls above the guys who are theoretically hotter than you. So let's fucking talk about how to do it. The be all end all in online dating is value. Not fucking looks, not fucking money, not fucking how smooth you are, any of this bullshit. What women look for online is value. And now what does value mean? We can understand it by thinking back into our evolution, right? Our evolutionary environment was much more difficult than society is today. We evolved to be drawn to mates that were going to help us survive and fuck. For a guy, that was very simple, right? We liked women who could make healthy kids with us because that was what was going to be evolutionarily advantageous for us. And that mostly comes down to her body. Obviously, we care about other things, but if we were to name the number one thing that kind of triggers our emotional attraction to someone, it's how she looks. For women, the calculus was very different though, because she was like having kids and stuff. She was caring for the kids. It was a dangerous environment. So it was also very important to her survival and long-term reproduction that she was with a man who could ensure her safety and having resources, in the long haul. We might think that that meant like being this big, strong caveman guy. And yeah, like he could beat some people up and probably hunt well. But if you think about it, we lived in social groups, bro. And 3 pretty buff guys could easily kill 1 very buff guy. And so it really wasn't being big, fast, and strong that could assure, someone's safety and survival back then. It had more to do with our influence within the social group. And this is so key to understand. The concept of an alpha male is real. It's a fact of biology. But most people vastly misunderstand what alpha male means. It's not this guy on the left. It's more like Kanye West, somebody who holds social power within the group. Because if you think about it, bro, the leader of the tribe didn't have to be the best at fighting. He could mobilize others toward his goals. He could mobilize others to fight for him, win wars for him, go get resources for him, protect him and his wife and kids, right? So if you think about the most evolutionarily advantageous man for a woman to go after, it was not the buff guy, but the leader of the tribe. And this concept will reshape the way you see fucking emotional attraction, the way you see dynamics between men and women. And once you understand this concept, you cannot unsee it. And this is what we're shooting for, bro. Not fucking looking the best, not being the richest or whatever, but displaying value. Now, you might be thinking when I put the picture up there of Kanye West, like, well, fuck, he's a rich celebrity. How can I ever compete with that? Money, looks, status, that's one way to display value. And that is accessible to some people. And if you have that shit, fucking flaunt it. Pose next to the Ferrari. More power to you. But there are other ways to signal value too. And to be honest, man, these are actually more powerful, because if you signal value with really overt ways like flashing your money or your status, that will attract you women who want those things. And to be honest, they might not be the women that you want to be with long term. So displaying more subtle signals of value that have more to do with who you are as a man and your personality is actually a better way to go. So let's talk about how to do this. There's 5 ways to signal value, and it comes from embodying the behaviors that somebody who was high value in society would do. So the first one is your pose. And I want you to think about this, bro. There's a way of moving and being and showing up in the room that somebody who, sees themselves in a very positive light has. Right? They're not hunched over, fucking hiding themselves from the world, trying not to be noticed. They're presenting themselves fully, calmly, and in control. Because when a king walks in the room, he feels safe. He feels confident. He's not fucking seeing threats and all this bullshit. He feels comfortable in his environment. And I want you to look at this example, right? This is a very comfortable, confident, almost cocky posture that signals that this guy feels like the alpha in the room. Same with this one. This is a little more subtle, but you can tell he's not trying, right? He's very casual. This guy clearly feels confident in the room. This one's doing kind of the James Bond thing, right? So your pose really fucking matters. Next is your facial expression. A lot of us have the urge to fucking cheese up in our photos because we think, well, I want to be friendly. I want people to like us. But think about a man who's truly high value, bro. Would he care or even want people to like him? No, and the reason why is because he's already swimming in options, right? He's already drowning in more women than he can possibly keep up with. So his job isn't actually to attract, it's to screen. And he doesn't care about making anyone like him. He also doesn't tack his sense of worth and identity on anyone else's opinion. He feels very sure of himself, so he doesn't need anybody to like him for validation. So he just shows up and exists naturally. He's not trying one way or the other to make people like him. He's just doing his thing and expects women to gravitate toward him. And that's the difference between, I call it the LinkedIn smile versus the saucy smirk. Instead of cheesing up like this, we want to imagine we're James Bond, posted up at the back of the bar, and he sees the hot woman walk in, and they lock eyes. And is he gonna fucking goofy cheese at her? No, bro. He's gonna look at her, lean back, and give her a confident smirk, and wait for her to come talk to him. Because he knows his fucking value, and he expects women to come to him because so many women have in the past. This is the kind of energy we want to be on, bro. And again, I know you don't feel like this man right now. It's not going to feel natural for you now. That's okay. Pretend, bro. Choose to embody the behaviors of a high value guy, and we set in motion a positive feedback loop that will eventually turn you into a high value guy. Because when you project yourself this way, women will be like, oh shit, this guy's attractive. This guy believes in himself. This guy's on my level. This is a guy I want to be with. then she's gonna give you positive vibes, flirting with you, fucking good interactions with you, going on dates with you, hooking up with you. And that's gonna make you feel like, a high value guy for real. And then that feedback loop just continues. So anyway, we got pose and expression. Replace the cheesy smile with the saucy high value smirk. Then we've got the setting. And this is very slept on, bro. You can take the same photo in a fucking, random street, or you can take it like on a yacht or in a very hip, well decorated coffee shop, or in a museum, or in a fucking hip bar, or the lobby of an expensive hotel. The place that you're in and what you're doing in that place signals a lot of value. So you want to hang out in places and take your photos in places that show a high value lifestyle. And just to be clear, that doesn't mean rich, right? High value means different things for different types of people. So if you're going after kind of artsier girls, then you might actually want kind of grungier, more like underground, low key shit. Versus if you're going for, I don't know, kind of like a sorority girl, then maybe you want to be on your yacht or in a fucking expensive restaurant or something like that. So you calibrate this to your niche. But the vibe is take your photos in settings that display value. The next one is style. Style conveys value because it shows that you get it. You're tapped in. You understand trends, and you must be cool because you're probably hanging out with other tapped in people who dress a certain way, which is influencing your style, and you get it. You belong with those people. So you can see it's not about dressing flashy or complicated, but this guy's dressed like somebody who matters, right? This guy's wearing a suit. He's dressed like somebody who matters. This guy, it's not about his clothes per se, but he has a very good body and he knows that and he's showing it off. And if you look at his hair, it's a little hard to tell, but he's very well groomed, right? Like he has a very good haircut that looks good on his face. This guy, very good haircut. He's well groomed. Good haircut, well groomed. So all these things are signals of value. And then the last one, bro, I saved this for last because it's the most powerful, is social proof. What's the very best way to know if a guy is going to be like cool, fun, attractive, safe for you? Well, if you see him with a group of 5 other hot, cool women who are all finding him hot, attractive, and safe and enjoying his company, you can be pretty damn sure that that guy's not a creep, that he's not a weirdo, that he is high value, that he's cool. And so by taking photos with other cool, hot people, especially women, in the background, it's implicit social proof. They're implicitly vouching for you just by being around. And this is one of the most slept on things, bro, that you have to fucking leverage because most guys aren't. Take photos with hot girls in the background and ideally hot girls interacting with you candidly. So look at this one. Like you might not look at this and say, wow, that's a really good Hinge photo. But look at what it's doing, bro. There's 2 guys, 4 girls. All the girls are attractive. They're in a high value environment, right? Clearly this is like a rich person's house and they're just chilling. He's not posed up trying to be liked. He's just existing with these hot girls around him. That's incredible social proof. And when a hot girl looks at that, she will feel very safe swiping right on this guy. Be like, and she might even feel a little FOMO. Be like, shit, he's hanging out with these hot girls, right? I want to be the one hanging out with him too. In this one, right, he's not interacting with the hot girls. He's there existing, but the hot girls are in the background. And that conveys that he is the type of guy who's in these high value environments and belongs around these high value women. This one, this is one of my former students. So I gave him the little sunglasses just to respect his privacy, but he fucking killed, bro. He did very, very well. And you can see this isn't a particularly high value background in the traditional sense, but he was going for more sporty girls, more athletic girls. So a sports bar is actually the kind of place where his girl would hang out. And look at this. The hot blondes are taking the picture. Like you can't really tell, but this girl is holding up the camera. And so they're implicitly vouching for his coolness. And then this one, he's interacting candidly with a hot girl. So these are the 5 signals of value, bro. And if you incorporate these in your photos, you will leapfrog so many fucking guys. Pose, expression, setting, style, social proof. Make sure that all your photos are at least hitting 1 and ideally multiple. I mean, hell, ideally all 5, right? That's very doable. If you get a good setting, wear good style, have hot girls in the background, and have a good pose and facial expression, you're fucking set. And obviously this takes work to do. Like you have to go out and curate these environments for yourself. But I'll ask you again, bro, is a little bit of work worth 22 matches a week and fucking 3 dates a week from your couch? If the answer is yes, then do the fucking work. Don't shy away from what it takes to get the big win. The last thing, bro, is candid is king. Back in like 2017, it showed value to have, really curated, posed photos with a high quality camera because no one else was doing that. But nowadays, it's the norm. Everybody has good photos of themselves. So actually what shows value is being candid, showing that you don't have to try, showing that you didn't just go out to take, photos from your profile, but you're so high value that you just existed and lived your normal life with these other cool, hot people, and people captured it. So if you were going to go out and intentionally get 3 types of photos, these are the ones I would recommend. Candid with signals of value, right? Good setting, good posture, good style, good facial expression. You looking good with attractive girls in the background, right? You're just existing and the hot girls are there. And then you candidly interacting with hot girls. If you go to a party, brief your boy. Be like, bro, I know this is kind of dorky, but I'm trying to fucking win. And let him win with you, bro. Show him this fucking video. Explain the concepts. Be like, bro, let's fucking master this together and start dating hot women together. Let's take photos of each other interacting candidly with the hot girls at the party. And that'll actually also incentivize you to go cold approach, so it's a double whammy of motivation. So candid is king. Get a bunch of these candid photos so you can fucking plug them into your profile and test. You want to get way more photos than just 6. Get hundreds. That way you can swap them out, test them to see what works, let the data guide you in the right direction, and then narrow it down so that your profile is comprised only of the very top performing photos. Then finally, bro, how do we make our bio? Photos are the most important. That's why we started with it and spent most of the time. But bio does also matter because it's part of the story that you're telling of you. And with the bio, it's all about frame. So many guys sell themselves to women. We talk about our positive qualities like, oh, I've traveled here, I've accomplished this, I'm cool because this, and this. And this is intuitive, right? It's like our resume. We want to show her impressive things so that she'll like us. But let's think about what this implies, bro, because it's counterintuitive, but once you think about it, it makes sense. Like we said earlier, would a high value guy want to make girls like him? No, because his problem isn't selling, it's screening. So a high value guy would actually not care about selling himself. And what his objective on dating apps is to weed out and narrow down the pool and find the girls that are truly right for him. And so instead of saying our good qualities, we actually want to push girls away, create like a net that only the girls who are confident in themselves and have the attributes that we want can make it through. The phrase I use for this is tell, don't sell. A high value guy would set a standard and challenge the women to live up to it. So let's look at my original bio, the one that I had when I was only getting 3 matches a week. I toured the world with a rock band. I've lived in Madrid and Mexico City. I was an extra in Endgame. I'm selling. Again, seems like cool things, but what it implied was that I wasn't high value enough to not care if girls liked me. Now let's look at what I changed it to when I was getting 22 matches a week. So notice already the prompt is different, right? This is 2 truths and a lie. This is I'm looking for. So the prompt already sets the frame of I'm screening for something. And then I say, a muse as beautiful and creative as she is brilliant. To debate with me at dinner, bake with me at midnight, and beat me in our workout at 8 a.m. Notice I'm not saying like cute or fun, right? I'm saying beautiful, brilliant, setting very high standards for her to live up to. A girl who doesn't value herself is going to be intimidated by this and swipe left, and that's okay, right? Because we don't want to hold ourselves to the standard of what we've been getting. We want to hold ourselves to the standard of what the man we want to become is deserving of. And that means awesome fucking women who believe in themselves and are worthy of us, are worthy of the man that we're becoming. I use the word muse because at this time in my life, I was an artist. I made music. And so I'm subtly communicating that about myself and calling out to other artistic people. And then here, I'm saying things that I like, activities that I enjoy, but I'm doing it through the lens of setting a standard for her to live up to. Debate with me at dinner, right? That's conveying a lot about my personality, that I like to engage in like real conversations. I don't shy away from debates or disagreements. That's a high value trait. to bake with me at midnight, right? It shows a little lifestyle, shows that I'm not too intense, right? I stay up late occasionally. I fucking bake, have a good time, and beat me in our workout at 8 a.m. This shows that I'm ambitious. I get up and get after it, and that's the kind of woman that I want. Now, again, when you do this, I don't want you to copy the specifics of what I do, because don't look for a woman that I'm looking for. Look for a woman that has the qualities that you want. You might want a goth girl. You might want a super preppy girl. You might want a super smart and driven girl. Or you might want more of a homebody, like a traditional, like stay-at-home wife. Whatever it is you want, bro, you need to extract the principles that I'm talking about and then apply them and insert the specifics of the woman that you want, the qualities that you want. But the principle is the same. Tell, don't sell. High value guys screen and set standards that she can look up to. And you might be nervous to do this, bro, because you're like, fuck, I'm going to miss out on some girls that I could have otherwise had. And yeah, you will. But ask yourself, did you want those girls anyway? A girl that couldn't pass your legitimate test of a girl that you really want, do you want to waste your time going after her? Because you will sacrifice some of those women who maybe are a little lower quality or not right for you. But you will gain so many higher quality women that wouldn't have matched with you when you were presenting yourself this way, but will now match with you when you're presenting yourself this way. So you have to make the leap and decide that the risk is worth the fucking reward and sacrifice the short-term loss for the long-term gain to become this man who you were meant to be. Now at this point, bro, you understand what it takes to make a good profile. You understand that what we're shooting for is displaying value. You understand how to manifest that in your photos. You understand how to manifest that in your bio. And the last thing, bro, test. I'm not a fucking guru. I can't just look at a profile and tell you like, yes, this is gonna perform or this isn't. I understand the principles, but the be all end all, bro, is does it work? And the only people who can decide that is our customers, AKA the women. So don't take my word for it, bro. Go test and fucking let the data tell you which photos are the best. And this is the methodology I recommend. First, you go out and you take hundreds of photos, not randomly, but very intentionally, trying to curate these photos to hit all of those signals of value that we talked about. Then we go through your hundreds of options and you make your best guess of your starting lineup. It doesn't have to be perfect, because what we're gonna do now is iterate. You're gonna track your matches, you're gonna swipe for a week, see how many matches you get. Then at the end of the week, I want you to make one educated guess, a hypothesis that you're gonna test next week. Based on the principles of value, say, okay, I think if I swap this photo out with this other one, it's gonna improve the matches. And then you test again, and you see, were you correct or were you wrong? If you were wrong, you revert the change and make a different guess. If you were right, you keep the change and make another guess. But either way, we're constantly iterating. So every week, we're testing out one slightly different variation and zigzagging our way to a constantly improving profile. That's why I said at the top of the video that my transformation of my profile took 6 weeks. It was 6 iterations to arrive at that profile that really killed it. And just to be clear, bro, like this does take work. This is a mindset of approaching online dating with more strategy and more dedication than 99% of guys. But you have to ask yourself, bro, are you satisfied with average results? Because if you keep putting in average effort, you will get the result that average guys get, which, as we already discussed, is very few matches and almost no dates. And if you're satisfied with that, that's fine, bro. Keep living your life. But if you're not satisfied with being normal, then maybe you should start taking some abnormal actions. And that starts with committing to yourself and committing that you're gonna do what it takes to win. Putting in that little bit of extra effort to separate yourself from the pool of guys and get yourself in that top 15% of profiles so you can match with the cute girls who are genuinely right for you, who have awesome qualities, not just hot, but also like very cool, educated, athletic, whatever you're into, and you can have a great relationship and an awesome fucking life. Don't let this just be another video that you watch, log in your brain, and then don't do shit about. I want you to leave this video and right the fuck now, take a step forward. Whether that's putting an action item in your calendar to go fucking do a photo shoot, whether that's calling up your boy, sending him this video as well and be like, bro, let's do this together, or whether it's going through the photos that you already have and remaking your profile right the fuck now. Take this knowledge and immediately put it into action. Keep winning, bro. Let's fucking go.